Welcome back to the Voices of Dreamers podcast, where we share the inspiring stories of people turning their dreams of a better life into reality. I'm excited to welcome Andrea to the show. She will be sharing her story with us today of how she has stayed motivated and overcome obstacles as a DACA recipient. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank
having me
you. Of
here.
course. Of course. Thank you so much for messaging me. Oh my God. I was like, yes, girly.
Yeah, I know. I saw your video on TikTok and I was like, oh my gosh, I felt so inspired of you. I never thought about like having a podcast. So I was so excited and I'm like, right, let me just message her.
Yeah. I was I
Um,
was scared to do it because I was like, oh my God, people are gonna be like, another podcast.
mm,
But I
and I
was
think
like, I
it's
feel like
great.
it would be good, right? Like
hmm
give us like a platform where we can share everybody's stories. And everybody's story is so different, but yet so similar.
Right, and it's good because I've always seen like videos on TikTok, but I think it's good that we're all in one place. You can just keep hearing stories in one
Yes.
place, and I think it's awesome.
Yay. I
Mm.
know. I was seeing like so much stuff out there that people are so scared. And I was just like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God. Like, I feel like we
Yeah,
should put like a little bit of hope out there. And maybe
yeah,
listening to somebody's story will, make
right.
somebody a little bit less scared.
hmm That's true.
Yes. Okay, girlie, we're gonna start with the first question. I like to ask everybody if they remember at what age they came here, or if they remember like the story, if they heard the story of how they came to the US.
Yeah, so I do remember I came here when I was 5 years old, and the reason that me and my family came here was because I needed medical attention. I was born in Mexico and I was born with the short femur and short tibia. So at the time, I had several surgeries in Mexico and it just they weren't I wasn't getting the actual help that I needed. So they referred us to a hospital here in Dallas, Texas. It's called Scottish Rite. So that's the reason why we came here initially.
Oh, nice.
So we were able to get a visa, and I think in the beginning it was more like my family was like, well, we don't know if we're gonna stay or not. So we stayed here for about 2 years, and then we went back to Mexico. And then I went to school over there for 1 year. And then just because um, the disability that I have, it requires, as a kid, since you are growing, I need prosthetic as I was growing. So when we were in Mexico, it was like we still came back to see my doctor and get new prosthetic and check on me. So eventually my mom took the decision, well, we're just gonna stay in the US. So ever since I was 9, I haven't gone back. Yeah. Um,
The last guy I was interviewing, he said he wants to get into prosthetics, into making
yeah.
prosthetics. Yeah.
Yeah. I recently went back to the hospital. I was like, I think a couple weeks ago because at the hospital it's free of charge. So anybody that is needing some sort of help, um, they specify in like amputees or if you have some sort of limb loss, things like this. So I recently went back to because they had a Christmas party and I got invited, and it was just I haven't been back to that hospital in 10 years. So it was crazy because at the party I was able to see my doctor and I was like, oh my God, it's been
Wow.
so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they
Yeah.
still remember you?
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
remember me.
Oh
So,
my goodness. Since
mhm.
you were 5.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
started going at Scottish Rite since I was 5, um, up to 18 years old. I
Oh
was going
wow.
there. hmm
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is so cool. How did it feel when your mom said, "Oh, we're not going to be going back," and she made like that choice?
I honestly felt I was glad that we were coming back because I went to kindergarten when I was in Mexico. So I did my kindergarten over there. And then we came here and I did first and second grade here.
Okay.
So I don't know. I feel like in that age, you really don't remember much when you're like 4, 5, 6. So
Yeah.
to me, I remember most being in first grade here, second grade. And then when we made that change to go back, and I did third grade in Mexico. When we made that change, I was so scared when we got to Mexico because the schools were different.
Yeah.
Everything was different. Like, I remember going into the school and I'm like, there's no cafeteria, there's no gym, so it was just a big shock for me being
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Um, just the culture. I mean, yes, I am from Mexico, but living here for 2 years, and going to school here for 2 years really made me, I don't know, it was just kind of like everything was different when we went
Yeah.
back. So when we came here, I was really happy that, we're going back to the States.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would feel like it would take you some adjustment to be like, oh, like you were already kind of acclimated to the culture, to the language
Mm-hmm.
here, because when you're so little, I feel like you learn stuff so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then to be taken out of that and then taken to Mexico, for your third grade, you were like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, what is this? Why is it so different?"
Yeah, and I was very different. So, we were glad we were coming back here. Um, and just, I don't know, I feel like you don't really think about these things when you're a kid. You just kind of follow along what your parents decide. So, but in that aspect, I was glad that we were coming back.
Right? Yeah, you were like, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, please."
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. Next question. At what age did you learn about your undocumented status? Did you know all along, or were you like told by your parents like at a certain age?
I knew all along. I feel like I was always just because of the disability that I have.
Huh.
Like, I grew up that way, and it made me always aware of things that were going on, aware of my surroundings. So I was very aware at a very young age that we're going into a different country. This is not our country. And then when we made the decision to just stay here, even though I was 9 years old, I knew that we didn't have proper documentation, or that you just kind of live throughout this whole situation, but I always knew.
You always knew.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy how like some parents choose not to tell their children?
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the girls that I interviewed, the first three girls, they were very aware and they always had plans. Like if anything happened, they said like their parents always made them aware. Like if
Mm-hmm.
they were late coming home or something,
Yeah.
to go to their aunt, whoever was documented, that way they can take
Yeah.
care of them if something did happen to them.
Yeah. During that time, we didn't have any family that was like that had a legal status here. We were just kind of all in the same boat. So, um, I don't really remember ever having a plan, or my family never really had a plan. So, I feel like going back wasn't never an option
Right.
just because I needed the medical attention here, and it was just not an option. So they were just like, well, whatever, if something happens, then we already know, like you said, if let's say my dad didn't come home or things like that, then we knew what all of that meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, We'll figure it out as we go."
Right. That was
Right.
kind of always the mentality.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes there's like, you don't want to plan for the worst
Mhm.
because you're just like,
Yeah, no, I definitely do think it's important to plan out, especially in things like this, and also making your family and like your kids aware of a situation because let's say if something did happen and your kids don't know, then I just think that makes it just very uneasy for the
that's
kids.
so true too. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. You have to be always so like a little bit more hyper vigilant about how we live our life a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. The next question is, what are some challenges that you encounter being undocumented before you ever knew about DACA, or if you've had DACA the whole time?
So I had DACA when I want to say when I turned 18. I was a senior in high school. But just before that time, like since I was always aware of my status, I was always aware of kind of like the life you expect to have after graduating high school. If you're always aware that, or at the time, and I think even now, you're always aware that your only solution is to get married. And that is something that was um engraved into, I feel like that is something that has been engraved into our community. Like this is your only option. So I when I was in high school, I obviously didn't want it to do that, but I always felt so uncertain of what is my future gonna look like after I graduate? Where am I going to work? So all these things, when I was like a sophomore, junior, even senior before DACA, it would stress me out a lot because like I don't want to do these jobs, these like under the table jobs. And whenever DACA was announced, it gave me so much hope. Because now I felt like I could plan for something. I felt like my future, or at least, I have an opportunity.
Yes.
Hmm.
So true. Yeah. It probably
Yeah.
took such a load off, especially since you said that you were kind of already like feeling like the stress of it, of what was gonna happen when you graduated.
Yeah, and I feel like when I was like a junior, you have friends that are already working, like even if it's
Yeah.
like at McDonald's or things like this, they start to have like their own things or whatever, like if they want to buy themselves something, like they have that ability. And
So true.
I felt like I want to work, I want to, have, if I can go to a store and I can buy myself something, I want to have the ability to do that. And I couldn't. I felt I couldn't help my family, so it really stressed me out during like, sophomore, junior year.
Right. It's such
Hmm.
like something that other kids take for granted, something that
Yeah,
we are like, oh my God, I just wish I could.
yeah.
Yeah, like why are we being penalized for something
Hmm.
when we're literally like, what, a sophomore is 16 years old? Like you're still a
Yeah.
child.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just now looking back, like you said, a lot of, maybe people that are citizens and that are in that age, these thoughts don't come to their mind, because they have that.
Yes.
But being, at such a young age and you cannot have that, I think, you just grow up differently.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so true. It's just like the little things, like the
Right.
daily things that people don't think about is something that is so
Hmm.
heavy on us.
Yeah, it is. And I think, for me growing up, like in that age, obviously, my dad, none of us had since our visas expired and we just stayed here. Um, it was always a struggle because my mom was at home with us. That was something that, I am thankful that my mom was there to care for us, have food ready, things like this. And my dad was the one working. So obviously, when you're in a situation like that, you don't have the best paying jobs. So for us, it was a struggle. We couldn't have like, I think about it now, like I didn't even knew what Chick-fil-A was. I didn't
Mhm.
even knew what Starbucks was. I didn't know until I started working that, you put yourself out there a little bit more, but growing up, we didn't have that. Yeah.
It's literally like people joke about this. They'll be like, oh, Mexican parents are like, there's food at home.
Yeah, no, really, like our now me and my sister we talk about that and we're like literally our going out was McDonald's from the dollar menu or Jack in the Box tacos. Like that's
Yes.
it,
Oh my
you
God,
know?
so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we already knew, because obviously money was we didn't have an abundance. It was always living the day to day. So our parents didn't have to tell us because we were aware of what was going on. And, we just didn't ask. We already were going to Jack in the Box, so we already
Right.
know. We
And
already
even
know what
that
to
is
get.
like, wow.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So true. Uh,
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. You just brought like a childhood memory. Yeah. Would
Mm-hmm.
always go to McDonald's on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like you don't take, family vacations like other
You
people because,
don't.
you can't travel.
Don't.
Yeah.
We
Yeah. So you
never
just go to the
took,
same places.
right,
Yeah, that are close by.
the same restaurants,
Yeah.
like, that was my childhood,
Yeah.
No family vacations, same restaurants, you know. We would go back to school, like, and you just hear kids, oh, we went here during the summer, or we got
Right.
this for Christmas. Like, we didn't have that. I didn't have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, so true. Yes.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, girly. You said you had DACA came in 2012, so you were a senior in high school. You said
Hmm.
that you felt like you could pursue now. You can pursue your dreams now. You can go ahead and plan ahead instead of being like, what am I going to do? Am I going to be able to get a job? What did you feel when you heard that something was going to be available?
So when I was in high school, I was in this class. It was called Avid, and what they focus on, it's like helping you apply for college, helping you to just kind of know what your resources are.
Okay.
And I believe I was in that class for like sophomore, junior, senior year. And when I was in that class, like as a sophomore, as a junior, I knew like, well, they're making us apply to colleges or they're making us, look for universities, but they don't know that we can't afford it. I can't afford it. My parents can afford it. So when DACA came, I did apply for a university and I got accepted into a university. Um, and I wanted to be a teacher, that's what I applied for. And then when it gave me hope, it gave me hope that I can do something now. And then I remember going to the university with my mom after I got accepted, and they gave us like how much it's gonna cost. And we're like, we, it was a lot. So I didn't go. I didn't go to the university. Um, because like they showed us, I still remember they showed us the amount and how much a semester is going to cost, and like we can't, so it didn't, it didn't, it really made me. sad just because I'm like, I didn't know what to do, you know? So then, after I graduated high school, I didn't go to college. I had to wait and I applied for a community college and thankfully, tuition wasn't that much and I got a scholarship for my 2 years. Yeah, so I did an associate's and that was it, you know? Um, then after that, I didn't know exactly what I was gonna do just because I knew at university it's a lot and I didn't want to put that burden on my parents. So I just started working. I started working at, I think like at a bagel place. I had like little random jobs, you know. Um, and then I worked for a few years, you know, and I was able to save money. I didn't know for what at the time. I was just saving just because now I think about it as just because I lived through that childhood of not having, it made me like it kind of traumatized me,
Yeah.
you know, of not having and not feeling secure in a financial aspect that when I had the opportunity to work, like at some point I literally had like 3 jobs. Like I was working so much just because I wanted to feel security.
Yeah.
Um, and I was able to save and then eventually in 2022 I decided to go to university. Um, and next year I graduate from university.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with a bachelor's in business analytics and artificial intelligence.
How
Um,
amazing.
yeah, so DACA has really, it has allowed me to do that. And it had, now looking back and I'm like, well, I, at the time, I didn't know what I was saving for. I was just saving
Yeah.
just because I wanted that security. And
Yeah.
then, when I decided to go to university, I'm like, well, now I'm able to do that. Now I'm
Yeah.
able to pay. Um, so that's how DACA has offered me.
That was the next question I was going to
Yeah,
ask you. How has DACA like impacted your education and
yeah,
like your career or like job opportunities? But that is like such a full circle moment. Like at that
yeah.
moment that you went to the university with your mom and you guys saw the price tag, you were like,
Mm-hmm.
we can't do this. And
Right.
you know, and I feel like a university is so overrated at the beginning. I feel like when you graduate high school, I feel like it's such a smarter decision to go to a community college and maybe save
Mm-hmm.
some of that money.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like at
for
the
sure.
moment you were probably like, oh my God, you probably felt like your dream was out of reach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, now I see because when you put yourself out there, when you interact with other people that are, in this case, looking for a better future, it kind of opens up your mentality into getting out of the space that you grew up in. And now I know I will have the opportunity to have a better job, a job that I never even thought about doing, you know.
That is so true.
So, I'm thankful that, with DACA, that's what I've been able to accomplish so far.
That is so good. And that you're gonna have a job that you don't have to settle for.
Right,
Yeah.
because, I think it came to a point where I was kind of stuck in a job that where I was thinking, well, what am I going to do in 10 years? Where do you go from here? So I wanted something more, and that's the reason why I went to university because regardless of whatever happens to that guy, will still have my education,
Yes,
and still have that for me in my future, regardless of, my goal is obviously to stay here, but
for
regardless of
sure.
where I am, it will still hold its value.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Mhm.
You have that education, and nobody can take that away from you. Like they say,
Yeah,
like the knowledge, like that's something
right,
that nobody can take away.
right.
Yeah. And that's such like a full circle moment to be like your dream over here of going to the university, and then you had to go to the community college, and then you were, working those three jobs to feel
Mm-hmm.
some kind of safety because you didn't want to have that uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got into the university, you went ahead and tried again, and you had all that money saved up,
Yeah,
and you were able
yeah,
to do that for yourself.
yeah. And I feel like, obviously I still had to work when I was still working full time. I've always worked full time, um, just to be able to pay my bills at the time. And when I was started university, I knew, I can't just not work. That is
Yeah.
just not an option for me.
Right. Yeah.
So, throughout my whole semesters, I've worked, and it's been really exhausting. It's been exhausting taking, four classes and have a full-time job and
Oh,
still
for sure.
manage to do your homework, pass your classes, study, and do personal things. Um,
Right.
but I think, at the end of the day, it's really, or sorry, I'm not trying to be emotional, but just
No,
because
no. Yeah.
um it shows me that, oh, I can't do
You
this.
can, girl. Yes, you can do hard things. And it at the moment you may feel like quitting. And you know what? You've gone farther than other people, because
Yeah.
like some of us, we're still in that vicious cycle, like our parents. We're still
Mm-hmm.
like settled in mediocre
Right.
jobs
Right.
that we hate going to, that we want probably better for our kids.
Right.
And it's so amazing that you were like, I don't want this. I want better for myself. And I want to do something that is going to give me that sense of security.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like, ever since I was a kid, and just because I've lived with my disability my whole life, it has always, like, what it taught me at a very young age is, people would always say, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I always had that in me of, no, yes, I can,
Yeah.
or like, no, you can't ride a bike. Be like, oh, yes, I can.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's like you're not going to allow people's limits
right.
of what you
So,
can do and can't do.
yeah. So, going through this journey of going to school and working, and it's been really stressful, but it has shown me that, I'm stronger than I
Yes.
think, or, sometimes we think,
Yeah. Or
oh,
we feel,
yeah,
yeah.
we feel that we can't do this, or we feel, we put our limit to ourselves.
Yes.
Um, so it has shown me like, no, yes, yes, you can,
You can, girl. And look at you.
Yeah,
You're almost there. You got one more
yeah,
year. And
mm,
oh, just how exciting is it to, just imagine yourself, hearing your name called out and then walking
yeah.
on that stage.
Yeah,
Yes, girl.
my sister says, she's like, "Oh my gosh, every time I think about you graduating, like she's always it's emotional for her, and it's
Yes.
emotional for me as well because um, none of my parents went to college or, things like this. So I, you know, you I do feel pride in that. I
Yes.
am you know, happy that, wow, I literally can't believe I'm here, I
Yeah.
feel like when I walk the stage, I would be like, how did I even get here, you
Right? You're
know?
gonna be
Yeah.
like, somebody pinch me. Like, is this a dream?
Yeah.
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 And it's just keep on thinking about that. Every time
Yeah.
you feel like, oh my God, like I'm so tired, like, like
Yeah.
working and school, like just have that
Yeah.
picture in your mind of you with your
Yeah.
cap on and your robe.
Yeah.
Eh,
And I think like, it makes it more valuable to me because I didn't have this easy, My parents, we're not rich. We don't have an abundance, I value it more because it has cost me, So I
for
think,
sure.
I do value that for sure.
Yes, it like means a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For
because it wasn't
sure.
handed to you. You had to
No, it wasn't.
literally work really hard to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you already.
Thank
It's
you.
like,
Thank you.
wow, such an
Um,
inspiration, girly. I love that.
yeah, I can't wait
Oh
to
my goodness, literally,
graduate.
it's like counting down the days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When do you graduate? If you don't
In
mind me
May,
asking.
yeah, May 2025. So next year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Literally, like what? 6 months? 5 months?
5 months. Yeah.
Yeah, girl, you can do this. You got
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah, and when I got into this, like I said, when I always wanted to be a teacher, but then I changed my mind and I got into a analytics degree, and when I got in it, I'm like, I don't even know what business analytics means,
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
know. I literally went into this knowing absolutely nothing. Yeah,
Do you love it?
I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I do like it, and I like the opportunities that I will have,
Oh, yes,
just because it will be it's something completely different, something that I never thought about doing.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're going to be able to provide for yourself, provide for your family, better than having
Right,
to work three jobs.
right, yeah.
Yeah, and do something that you love. That's your
Mm-hmm.
passion. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so that's amazing.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. Okay. Have you felt a little discouraged in pursuing your dreams because of your status?
I feel like even though, I'm going to university, even though like working, I've always felt so uncertain about my future, just how many of us feel. It's like we can only plan up to this expiration date on my employment card.
Yes.
And I think that is something that has always, um, it brings me some sort of, I don't like to say I feel sad or things like this, but deep down, it, it does hurt me.
Right. Yeah, because you're like I can only plan out 2 years at a time.
Yeah.
Because there is a little bit of uncertainty. I feel like depending on who's, president at the time,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
like for the past 4 years, like I haven't stressed about it, I haven't thought about it. I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, renew and it's gonna get approved. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I feel like right now, everybody's feeling a little more uncertain.
Yeah, for sure. Whenever it was the election, like I was, that panic started to rise in me, just because we already know what the president-elect tried to do last time.
Yeah.
So that fear is always there when we hear things like that we're not from here or we should go back or you know. So it's always very, very sad and very scary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you know what? Don't let that fear get to you, girl, because I
Yeah,
feel like I feel like they're not gonna be able to get us out of here, girl. We've been here all
yeah,
our lives. Like we
hmm
deserve this just as
we
much as the
do,
next person.
we do, and I
Yeah.
think, I think that is something that a lot of people do know about our situation, and a lot of people don't. So maybe somebody that knows you, they just think you're from here because we fit in,
Yes.
but they don't really know what our reality is, and they don't know we have to keep renewing. They don't know that there's no path. So that is something that people do need to know, and people need to know that we are American just as they are.
Literally, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we don't have, that piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. But we've been here all of our lives.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. Yeah. We literally
No, we
grew up
didn't have a
here.
choice.
Yeah.
It wasn't my choice. Like at 5 years old, what was I supposed to do? What was I
True.
supposed to say?
Right.
I don't blame my parents, but I just think it's unfair that certain decisions can be taken against us when we didn't have a say into coming into this country. Whatever way you came, we didn't have a say.
So true. So, so true.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, this kind of goes with the last question. Do you feel a sense of belonging here?
I do feel like I belong here.
Yeah.
I've been here I was, I always say I've been here since I was 9 because it's the last time that
Yeah.
you know, I haven't gone back since. So obviously, I do feel like I belong in this country. Um, I've learned the language, I know the history, I have
Right.
my education here. So, why wouldn't I feel like I belong?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Like
Hmm.
we learn the culture, we celebrate the holidays. Like we know
Hmm.
like the US history. We know it.
Yeah. And it's just, I feel like I do feel like I belong here. Um, but then when I hear like things in the news or things like this, I don't know, it kind of gives me an identity crisis
Yeah.
just because, yes, I know I'm from Mexico, and yes, I know that is my country. Um, but then when you hear things like this, it's like, well, I feel like I belong, but everybody else is making me feel like I don't belong here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But don't let them get in your head, girl.
Yeah.
No. No. We belong here just as much as they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because like some people it's easier for them to get it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand why it's so hard for us from Mexico to get a pathway to citizenship, but like people from other countries it's just so easy.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously the immigration system, and it's
Yeah.
broken in my opinion because there's people like us that this is all we know and
Yes.
there is no path. And like you said, there are people from other countries, and within a couple years, they are legal here. And
Yeah.
I just think it's a little bit unfair for us because many of us have, we speak good English.
Literally.
We have the education from here.
Yes. Yeah.
So you would think that there would be something, but unfortunately there isn't. And it's
Yeah.
just difficult because it's like you know that maybe the only option is marriage, and a lot of people just don't want to take that route. And you just wish there was something, a pathway, like you said, for us to just continue living our normal lives without having
Right.
to worry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what the other girls said too, that they don't want to do it through that route
Mhm.
because like they want to make like they want it to feel like it's their own, like that it's their own accomplishment, like they earned it, not,
Yeah.
getting it because oh, like I got married with a citizen.
And I think, obviously that is a mentality that we grew up with, that our parents pushed down to us. And it's kind of often seen as you're making the wrong choice because you are not marrying a US citizen.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think it's as a community, as a Hispanic community, I think, we should be okay with, I don't want to do it this way.
Yeah.
You know?
True. I feel like they say it joking,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like how many times, can it be
Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
before it kind of is like, okay, like it kind of stings a
Mm-hmm.
little that you feel like that's the only way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. But
Yeah.
hopefully, what he said. Did you see his interview?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Where,
did see.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like he looked like he knew a lot about what the average dreamer is. He said, they've been here all their life at no fault of their own. They came here as children. They know the language. They know, you know, the US as their first home. They don't know that home that they came from. And, he said he wants to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that he will?
It's kind of hard to say if I believe he will. Um, I don't believe that something will happen, like something bad will happen to us. I don't know if maybe that's just me being delusional over it.
That's what I feel too.
But
I'm like, I'm gonna stay delusional and hope that he doesn't even touch it.
right, yeah, I try to I have a bad habit of reading Reddit posts, and so many people are like DACA recipients. There's this Reddit where people can just, if you're on DACA, you post whatever you want there. And I have a bad habit of reading those because many of those are very negative. So I try to stay away from that. But whenever I do read it, I'm like, I don't think he'll do anything,
Oh my
you know?
God. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, I
but
cannot go down that hole.
no, yeah, it's just, you know, what I think maybe he will not do anything with that guy and we're just gonna continue staying the way we are. I hope that he does something, but it's just kind of hard for me to say, yes, he will do something for us. Of course, I would be, it would be something good that he does for us dreamers. I want to think that he will do something. I do want to think that, but you know, we won't know until we're there.
Right? Yes, yes.
Hmm.
I'm hoping he does. When I saw that
Yeah.
video, I was like, oh my God, yes. And then
Yeah.
people were posting videos on TikTok being like, really, you're gonna believe this guy after everything he
Yeah.
said about immigrants? And it's like, oh my God, let me live in my bubble.
I know. I after that I was reading, like seeing videos on TikTok and reading Reddit posts, and a lot of them are negative. And I'm like, I don't want to think this way. I
Yes,
don't want to
yes,
think this
no,
way
it's
just
like,
because, yeah, like let me just be delusional.
yes, yes. It's like, let me live in my little bubble and hope that he will hopefully follow through. Like,
Hmm.
it doesn't even have to be like give us citizenship right away. Like, just give us a residency.
That's it. Like,
Yeah,
just
just
give
let
us a
us,
path.
yeah, yeah, just let us not have to worry about this every 2 years. And that would
Mhm.
be just amazing.
Yeah, like I want to be able to, you know, not worry about that, not worry about renewing or is it gonna be taken away? Am I going to be like this my entire life? I don't want to think this way. I just want to have, mental stability and feel stability in this country. I feel stability up to a certain point.
Yes.
Um, but obviously with DACA, it's, we're all gonna feel that way.
Yeah, I feel like it's always just like under attack or under question, the
Hmm.
program.
Yeah.
to just feel like a little bit of a sense of relief, a load taken off would be so
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would.
Because I feel like those 2 years just fly by so fast.
They do. I just renewed mine. And I did it online. Like it was the first time I did it by myself because
I just learned about that. Yeah.
I've always done it through a lawyer, and then this time I was like, why am I doing it? Like because of TikTok, I've seen
Girl,
like so many ki people say, "Oh, you can do it online and
I'm
this
so
and that."
guilty of the same. I
Yeah,
don't trust
so
myself to fill those papers.
yeah, I decided to do it myself, and it was so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
heard. The third girl I interviewed, she told me about it and I was like, "What? I did not know
Mm-hmm.
that."
Yeah, it was super fast. All I did was ask the lawyer because she texted me and she was like, "Hey, it's time to renew." And I was like, I don't want to pay her the fee. I just don't."
Literally. Yeah, and it's a
So
thousand dollars. How much is it for you?
I think her fee is about 400 plus the DACA fee.
Right, yeah.
So it's almost around that, like $1,000. And I was like, I just don't want to pay. I don't want to
Right.
spend like an extra $400.
Yes.
So I asked her, I'm like, hey, do you have a copy of my last DACA application? So they were able to send it to me, thankfully. And I just went based off of that. But
Is
yeah,
it true that it's also like $100 less?
so I think I paid like 400 something. I can't remember the exact amount, but it's like around 475, I think.
Oh, okay. It was still the same price.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because the guy I interviewed this morning, he was like, yeah, if you do it online, it's like almost $100 less. And I was like,
Hmm.
wow, okay, if that's not motivation to do it for myself,
Yeah,
then
no.
I don't know what is.
Yeah, I had to like triple check everything, like more like
Yes.
4 or 5 times just because
Yes.
I was like, I don't want to miss anything.
Yes.
So I know it's scary, but if you have that copy, you just go like you just fill out the online version and it's so easy.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to try it well,
Yeah.
mine, I just got it too, so I don't have to renew until I think next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then they're saying that you have like to start renewing maybe like 6 months before instead of the 3 months.
Yeah, so I feel like, you know, I think my lawyer texted me I want to say September, and my DACA didn't expire until February of next year. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
like, that is so early. And I was like, I'm not renewing now. Because she obviously texted me like within that time frame of
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 months. So I'm like, no, because usually like the last few times I've renewed, I get it early and then I have both DACAs that are not expired yet?
Oh,
So
okay.
I lose like a few months.
Yes, yes. I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, no, I can't wait. And so she kept texting me. Um, so then I decided, you know what, I'll just do it by myself. So I did it in November. I'm like, well, it still gives me around like 3 months,
Yeah.
So, and I got it so fast. I think I got it within 2 weeks of me submitting the
Oh my God, that's
application.
amazing.
Yeah, I still lose like 2 months, but I'm
Right.
like, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. You're like better have it safe than sorry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Were you hearing stories of like people's DACA like taking forever to get renewed?
Yeah, so I joined this Facebook group that are for dreamers and how like to encourage each other and things like that. So before I did it online, I went um to this Facebook page and I was hearing both things. They get it either super fast or they take so long.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'll just do it. I did it in November, so I'm like, I am just praying it gets approved fast. I don't want it to take too long.
Yes, yeah. I was like, oh my God, because mine always gets sent to the one in Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh my God, hopefully, not too many are going to
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Yeah, and I keep hearing that too, that a lot of them were going to Nebraska and that usually the Nebraska is the one that takes the longest. And then
Really?
yeah, and then I checked the one I did online. I'm like, let me see where it got sent. And it got sent to Nebraska and it was approved really fast.
Right.
So,
Yeah, mine too. I was so scared because, girl, I was not checking the date on it. And when I checked it, I had like 2 months left on it.
oh my
And I was like,
God.
oh my God. So when I did it, I I was able to do mine through a like a human rights coalition here in
Mm-hmm.
California. I don't know if you've heard of
Mm-hmm.
it or if they have one in Texas. It's called Chirla,
I've never heard of it.
and it's like a immigration rights coalition, and they do like marches, and they go to Washington, and they like defend immigration rights and DACA
See.
for dreamers and stuff. And so I got lucky that I was able to get it for free and I didn't have to
Mm-hmm.
pay. And they do it based off like donations that they get. And
Mm-hmm.
I was I thought that when I went that it got sent like maybe like a week later, but they emailed me like probably like 2 weeks after, and I already had like maybe like a month left over on it.
Oh
And I
my
was like, oh my
gosh.
God, if it's all these stories are true, like mine's gonna expire. And some people were saying like theirs was taking months after it got expired. Like people were like, yeah, like I lost my job. And I was just like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do? I was like starting to freak out a
Wow.
little bit. But I told myself, no, like stay calm, everything's gonna be okay. Like every time I've renewed my DACA, I literally get it like a week or two after. I get that notification text like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
your application has been received.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and this time I didn't hear anything. And I was like, oh my God, like, do they not have my information? Like, what happened?
That's
And
scary.
I got it like maybe like a week before it expired.
Wow.
But that was all because oh my God, I'm a procrastinator. And I didn't
That
check the date, but I still got so lucky because it could have probably been delayed. But yeah, I was like, whose application is going to the middle of nowhere of Nebraska?
no, I feel it's always scary. That happened to me once where I renewed like on time and I was doing it through the lawyer. And I was getting so scared because it was taking up months for me. And it literally got to the last day of my DACA expiring.
Stop.
And I was like, I talked to my manager. I was like, if I don't go home today and my DACA is not there, like, I know I'm probably gonna lose my job. So it was very scary. And thankfully, I got home, I checked the mail, and it was there. Like the
Oh my
last
God.
day,
Of course they would.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then I told him, I'm like, if I don't come tomorrow, it's you already know,
You
you
already
know?
know why.
Yeah, so thankfully it was there and I
Oh my
was
God. I
able
got
to.
chills.
No, it was a very scary time
Oh,
because
yes.
I'm like, I don't want to lose my job. I don't know what I'm gonna do, you know? So I was
It's
like,
like winning the lottery when
mm-hmm.
you see that letter and you're like, oh my God, yes. You feel the card in there. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so but that was a scary time and that's the only time that has ever happened.
Yeah.
That it was to the last day.
Last day.
Yeah,
Wow. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. That is like my biggest fear. I'm just like, I gotta stay
Mm-hmm.
on top of it. I gotta be more organized
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
especially this next year when I have to renew it. Oh my God, yeah, I have to really be on it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be letting it expire.
Yeah, I
We get
just
that close.
hate yeah, I just hate how you lose months because obviously you don't know when you're
Yes.
gonna get it and it's like if you do it early, then it can get here early and you
Yeah.
just lose a few months. So,
You know what? It just came to my head right now. You would think that they know when. yours is expiring,
Mm-hmm.
why don't they date it from after that?
Right. That's what I would I always think about that. I'm like, why would I get the new DACA like the day after the old one expires?
Yeah, yeah. Or
Yeah.
like even like if you get it like a couple months before, like and
Mm-hmm.
you lose those 2 months, you would think that they would like issue it. Okay, it's expiring, let's say in October. We're not gonna issue it for her at the in October. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna wait for that one to expire and then send her the new one, even if it's early, with
Mm-hmm.
the expert, with the new date,
The
November.
day after, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, or the day
Yeah.
after that one expires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you always lose out on a month or two.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
It's
You would think that,
unfortunate.
right? Yeah, literally. You're just like,
Mm-hmm.
really? I just thought
Mm-hmm.
about that right now
Yeah.
that you said it, and I was like, that makes no sense that they would do that.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But, okay, girlie. Next question. What would you like people to know about DACA who don't know, who don't know it or understand it?
I I think I want people to know who we are, how we got here, and what our situation is. Because I feel like, people wouldn't know if you don't tell them. They just maybe think you're living a normal life just as they are, have life problems just like they do, that it's, maybe minimal, but they have a solution at the end of the day. Um, but I feel in our case, it's so far there is. No solution. So I want people to know that hear our voices, know who we are, and I don't know, maybe be a little bit more understandable of that there's thousands of us out here in the same boat, and maybe just be a little bit more compassionate when they're going to vote.
Yeah, literally.
Because
Yeah.
I think, I understand a lot of people vote for what they believe in morally, values, things like this, but I feel for me, like, let's say if if us as DACA recipients had the opportunity to vote, my life of being in this country comes first than what my values are or what I think of what politician is. Let's just say, for example, I don't know, tariffs,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for whoever candidate wants me here, wants to do something for me, because that comes first.
Sure.
So I want people to understand that, you know, obviously we can't vote, but
Which
just
is
be a,
another like misconception. They think
yeah,
that
yeah,
we're
they
over
think
here.
you
Yeah.
can vote.
Yeah.
I've gotten
It's
asked,
like we
oh,
wish. I
yeah,
want to get
like,
that sticker.
yeah, I've gotten that asked, like, oh, have you registered to vote? And I just say, no,
Yes,
I can't
like
vote.
you said earlier, like a lot of people like they know that we're not
Mm-hmm.
from here, but they think that we are, citizens or that.
Or that I've gotten this question so much. Oh, like, yeah, why don't you just apply for citizenship? I'm like,
It's like
we
if it were
can't.
that easy.
Like, I'm like, yeah, if it were that easy, I
Right.
wouldn't be in this situation.
Literally.
And it's
Yes.
crazy to me that US citizens, they don't know their own country's immigration policies.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
there's no button that you just say, "Oh, let me apply to be a
Right. Like
citizen."
send me that link.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, I will fill it out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true. Yes. Uh, it's like please make it easy for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
like there
hope
hasn't
so.
been nothing for us, what, for maybe 40 years? There hasn't been an immigration reform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's it's so mind-boggling to be like, there is nothing I can do.
Absolutely
Yeah,
nothing.
I just have to just wait and hope that one of these presidents that says that they're going to do something about immigration follows through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, you would think that our the mentality has evolved, you know, throughout the years. Because like you said, I think the last reform was what, Ronald Reagan, that he did that reform.
Yeah.
So you would think like there would be something, since times change, policy should be a little bit more, at least in our case, that we've been here our whole lives and there is still nothing that we can do. Hmm.
Hopefully, 2025 will be our year.
Yeah, I'm praying that
Yes.
something
Oh
happens.
my God. Let's light a candle.
Like, I think, sometimes I think if that were ever to happen, like if I see on the news there's a path, like I imagine the moment. Like, let's say if that happens, I think wherever I'm at, I'm just literally gonna cry so much.
Did you hear that about like or I don't know if it's just like a made up video, but is it true that Biden was trying to do something before he leaves?
For DACA recipients?
Just for all immigration, like he's trying to push something before he leaves. Do you think that's true, or is just like one of those like fake videos out there?
Yeah, I didn't hear any of that. I just heard like that he tried to do something like for the spouses of US citizens
That's what it was,
that
probably.
were that are here, like let's say the other spouse is illegal, and obviously or it's harder for them to be petitioned. I think that's what I heard, but not something that
Maybe
would
that's what it
benefit.
was.
Yeah, that would benefit
Yeah.
all of us.
Right. Oh my God,
Yeah.
girl. Yeah. I think I would feel the same way.
Hmm.
Yeah. If I saw the notification on my phone.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's something that we've been waiting for, we've
Yes.
been waiting for it our whole lives.
Literally.
Um, and I like to think and be optimistic and think it in a way of not as an oppression for
Yeah.
myself, but as I think like, God, why are you making me go through this?
Yeah.
Why is it why is it taking so long? Like, what are you trying to teach me? What do I still need to learn?
Yeah.
Because I think obviously it's some like, maybe all of us that we have it, it would be something that we've been waiting for and it hasn't been given to us easily,
Yeah.
that maybe we would appreciate it a little bit more.
So true.
So I like to think about it that way, just so I don't get too oppressed in
Yeah.
why is there still no path, and
Yeah.
think negative thoughts. So
So
I
true.
like to think about it that way. Like, what do I still need to learn while I'm in this situation?
Yeah. It's like
Hmm.
a time of learning
Hmm.
right now.
Like, I've been learning patience. I've been
Yeah.
patient,
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not
Yes.
very patient. Oh my God, I lose
Yeah.
my patience very fast. So maybe that's what God's trying to teach me right now. It's like, girl, you haven't learned nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's gonna come. I feel like it's gonna happen. Like we might not see like the light right now, but I feel like something good's gonna come to us. We've been patient enough, and we've been like we're literally like the most perfect citizens out here.
Right. I
Yeah.
was thinking about that too. I'm like, we can't have a record. We have to be either in school or working because in your application, like at the end, they have your rights. Like, why do you need DACA, you know?
Yes.
So, like, you have to be either working or in school. It's not like we can't just not have either one and
Okay.
ask for unemployment, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Yeah. And it's like we prove ourselves every 2 years. Yeah. Yeah, 'cause they want to know everything about us. They want to know every single thing we do.
Yeah.
Like, I was moving when I was renewing, and I had like a gap of a month,
Hmm.
and I was staying at my mom's, and I didn't put that on there. And the lady who was doing the application for me, she was like, "Oh, like you need to put on here where you were in that month. Like if you were staying at a hotel for a few days, if you were staying at a friend's, like you need to put everything on there. Like they want to know every single thing about you."
So we were brought here as children, and I believe if there is, I think there should be some sort of law that if you were brought here as a minor, then it's not your fault. Just like there are so many other laws within being a minor, I think, that they should, take into consideration that, and also that we are hardworking Americans as well. You know,
It's too much. Like,
no,
yeah,
I, w- if something, if a pathway was given to me, I would not ask for absolutely anything. I don't want unemployment. I don't want food stamps. I don't want any of that, like just give me a path. That's all I'm asking for. You
so
know, like
simple.
like even if you give us a path that restricts us from getting anything, like
Oh,
any
yeah.
welfare,
Oh my
absolutely.
God, yes.
Like if that
We will
is
sign up for it.
if that is something that you're worried about,
So true.
make a path with restrictions that we are not going to, you know, um, benefit from the system. Like, we just want a path. That's all we
Yeah,
want.
so true. So
Hmm.
true. Yeah. Yeah, it's so simple what we ask for, and yet it's so complicated for them to comprehend it. Yeah, that we just want some sense of security.
Yeah, like, I think, what? I would literally do anything if they want me to, I don't know, make some weird. In order for you to get a green card, you have to either join the military, get a master's, or things like this. Like, I will do that. I will do anything.
Right. I
Yeah.
will get that master's.
Yeah, sign me up. I will
Yeah.
do it.
Girl, I don't think I could do the military. I can't do a push-up to save my life.
Not me neither. But if they were to give
Or
you
what is it called? A
options,
pull-up. I cannot.
yeah. Yeah, like if they were to give you options, like I'm pretty sure most of us would do something,
Right.
like,
Those enrolling colleges would
mhm,
skyrocket.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like sign me up. I'll go.
for sure.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel like something good is gonna happen to this program. Yeah. I feel like we
Yeah.
shouldn't worry, and
I
like don't go down that Reddit rabbit hole. Yeah.
I think, people need to hear our voices. Like
Yes.
we have been I know there are people that go protest. I know that there's dreamers that, do their best to get their voice heard. But I think a lot of us, including myself, like before before the election, I've always felt like I don't want to talk about it. I don't want the people that know I have DACA know it. The people that don't know, just leave it like that.
Yeah.
That was kind of like my mentality. But I feel at this point, you know, no, people need to know who we are. People need to know our situation. And it's important for them to hear our voices. And if we do not make our voice heard, then who's gonna make that? We need to do that. And I think as a community, whatever is holding you back, um, I don't know if you don't want people to know or embarrassment or whatever the case is, I think it's time for get your voice out there, nothing will happen if nobody listens,
Yeah.
if people don't know we exist, then how do we want change?
So true right
Mhm.
there. That right there that you said right there.
Like in the
If people don't know
past,
we exist, how do we want change?
yeah, like in the past, with all the civil rights movement, they came, they stood up for what they wanted. Yes, it cost them years or, so many bad situations, but they made their voices heard. So I think it's something that us as DACA recipients, we need to change and
We
come
do.
together.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we're barely starting this movement of getting the ball rolling of putting ourselves out there. We have been kind of living in the shadows, and not really putting ourselves out there and like telling our story of who we are, like you said, maybe because we're scared.
I think, it's us being conformistas,
See,
like being conformed to, oh, well, we're just gonna renew it again.
right,
Oh, we're just here,
see,
but, and I think like that mentality comes from our community as well, that no, nos
uh-huh.
conformamos,
See,
nos
yeah,
conformamos,
con el mismo
ujú,
trabajo, yeah,
con el mismo trabajo, like,
yeah, even though we hate it. I'm in
yeah,
that boat. I
you
tell my
know,
kids, don't be like me, like don't get stuck or don't settle for something that like you hate waking up in the morning and being like, oh my God, let me go to this sucky job.
and I
Like,
think, it's a mentality that maybe has been passed down from
yeah,
generations, and maybe that's how our community is. And I think we we have to be the change.
yes,
I have to be the one breaking that, because if not, it's just gonna go on to my next
yes,
generation.
yeah,
And I think, you know, throughout my all this journey, I have to do that. I have to break the cycle. I have to break the pattern. I have to. Otherwise, how am I gonna lead my next generation? How do I expect them to change if I didn't do that? So I think it's something that us as streamers, like, no nos tenemos que conformar. Oh, just renew. We'll just renew it again. And well, the only solution is to get married. And that's it. No, we need to speak up. Like, we really do need to speak up.
we can't settle and we can't stay conformistas, like you said. We gotta go ahead and feel a little uncomfortable and put ourselves out there and like you're doing, you were like, no, like I'm gonna go to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be doing this 3 jobs.
Yeah,
No.
no. When I was doing that, I remember I was working in a warehouse from like 4 to 2, 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then I was working at a daycare from like literally 2:30 to 6:30. And then I was working at a cleaning job at night from like the time I got home, like let's just say 7 to whatever time I had to finish cleaning. And I remember leaving the warehouse job, like I had never done that in my life. And this lady was treating me really bad. And I realized I'm like, I didn't speak back because I'm not that type of person that likes to, just disrespect other people just because they're disrespecting me. And I was like, Andrea, why are you here? You know English. You got at least an associate's degree because at that time I wasn't even in school. Like, no, you have to do better. And I remember like having these thoughts in my mind, and I'm like, I'm done. And I just left. I
Oh
just
my
walked
God,
out.
girl. Maybe God put her
Yeah,
there. You know what? God was
yeah,
like, you know what, Andrea? He was
yeah.
thinking the same thing like you were at that moment. He was like, what are you doing here, girl?
I was like,
We need to get you out of here.
and not that those jobs are in no means like,
No, for sure.
I'm not degrading anybody that does
No.
those jobs.
Yeah.
Because I did that. I was the one cleaning, I was the one mopping the
Yeah.
offices when people are gone.
Yeah.
So I know where I come from.
Yes.
But we have to, again, it's that mentality of not conforming, like
Yes.
no conformarte a tu situación.
Sí. Y querer
So,
mejorarte.
yeah,
Yeah. Porque pudiste. You could have just been like, hey, this is going to be my life.
yeah.
Pero, some of us just, like, they just have that fire in them. They have the desire to be like this is only going to be for a season for me. Like, this isn't going to be my whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't going to,
Yeah,
I'm not going to be doing this when I'm 40, when I'm 50. Yeah,
and
I'm
I
doing this
think
right now, but it's only temporary.
Yeah, and I think all of that I feel like the way that I am in that aspect of, trying to make these changes for myself and my future or whenever I have a family, it's because I live that. I think when you live in a situation, you have two choices, either accept it and continue living the way that you are and not make a change or make the change. Those are the only two options that you have,
So,
you know? So I think because I saw my dad struggle, I saw how we struggled, I saw how what not having is. And then with DACA, you know what it's like to at least have an opportunity, you know? So what are you doing with that opportunity? Are we just sitting back and not continue living the same life we are living? So I think just
so okay. We're getting down to the last couple questions. What does the American dream mean to you?
I think for me, the American dream is simply having a permanent status because we all know if we get a glimpse of what that would feel like
Yeah.
because we have DACA and we know how our life has changed. We know our opportunities.
Yeah.
I feel like in a way we are living part of that American dream, but it's not complete until we have a permanent status. So it's simply that having a permanent status, that is my American dream.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure. So perfectly worded.
yeah,
I love that. It's so simple.
yeah. Like, even
Mm,
if, whatever job you have, whatever life you're living, us as DACA recipients, like, we're already living our American dream because, a lot of us are better off here than we would have in our home countries,
true.
so I think it's simply that, a lot of us are working towards that dream of, having a better job or having a house or having things that every other American wants or achieves, so we have been working towards that, or a lot of dreamers, have their homes, have businesses, are living the life that they want to live, but it's not complete until we have a permanent status.
True. So true.
Mhm.
Perfectly said, Andrea. Okay. What are your hopes for the future? We know that in May you're going to be graduating from university. What are your hopes for after that?
I hope to obviously find a job related to my degree and continue to work in this country, continue to live in this country, um, and just continue living the life that I've always wanted to live. That's my only hope without having to worry about an expiration date.
I love that. Without having
Mhm.
to worry of an expiration date. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we ask is not much. It's
It's
very
really
simple.
not.
Yeah, it's very simple. We just want that. Not
Yeah.
have to worry about an expiration date.
Yeah,
So, so
it's so
true.
simple. I'm like,
It
if
really
I
is.
like I'm like, when I hear people or like the news or people talking about DACA, politicians talking about DACA, I'm like, it's so simple. It's so
Yes.
simple.
Literally.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I started seeing like all the videos of people posting like their childhood picture and like
Mm-hmm.
seeing their story, I was like, like it's such a good movement because I've been wanting to do this for a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years now, but I've like been scared of showing up and putting like my
Mm-hmm.
face out there
Mm-hmm.
and like telling my story also
Mm-hmm.
because of the same thing. Like people just assume that oh, she's a citizen. She's been here all her life. Like
Yeah.
people that you've known, you know, since you were a child because you went to school here, first grade, second
Mm-hmm.
grade, and they just assume. And to be to put yourself out there and them know your status is just it was kind of scary for me too. And
Mm-hmm.
I was seeing everybody put their stories, and I was like, you know what? This is the time. Like, I need to not be scared. And my hope is that even if one person changes their mindset about us, about not just DACA recipients, but like overall,
Mm-hmm.
because our parents, the guy that I interviewed this morning, he was like, they were the first dreamers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They came here for a better life. They brought us
Yeah.
here so that we could have a chance at a better life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of also for them
Yeah, it
because we
is
want
true.
them to also have a pathway to citizenship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is true. And as you said, that you've been wanting to do this for a while, I think that's really amazing, and I applaud you for doing that. It takes courage, and I understand that takes time and passion and dedication, so um it's amazing what you are doing and having that vision for us, because it like if I didn't see that video that you posted, nobody would have, yeah, I could, maybe I would have never had my chance to share my thoughts, my feelings, and my story like how I am doing now,
Yeah.
and, I hope some other dreamers feel encouraged by listening to the podcast, by knowing our story. And as you mentioned, if we could at least change one person and how they view us, then
Oh,
I would be content with that.
I would too. Yeah.
If my story could reach another person that didn't know about DACA, or another dreamer that feels encouraged by listening to my story, other dreamers' stories, then
Yeah.
I would feel content for that.
Yeah.
And it took you to do that. It took your vision and, your courage to get yourself out there. So
Yeah.
I'm really thankful that you're
Oh,
doing
I
this.
am so thankful for you, girl, for being like, yes, I want to do this.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God. I was so scared that nobody was going to message me or like, because I was messaging people and I was so scared that nobody was going to want to do it. Because
yeah,
it is scary, putting yourself out there
yeah.
and telling your story to a stranger,
Mm. No, it is
Yeah.
scary. Yeah. But, I think it's time for
Yes.
us not to stay in the shadows and be
Yes.
quiet.
So true.
Mm.
So, so true. I feel like that was like the perfect ending right there. It's time for us to step out of the shadows
Yeah.
and show up and show people that we are here for a better life. We've been
Mhm.
here and we deserve it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do deserve it, and as you said, we have to speak up. All
Yeah.
of us. All of
Yeah.
us. We can't just continue renewing and that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just being accepting that that's going to be our story.
Hmm.
Just every 2 years we got to settle for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been settling long enough. What, we've been doing this program for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's time for
been,
something new.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like, we want to make our our parents coming here worth it,
Yes.
because when I think about that our parents had to leave their home countries knowing absolutely anything, leaving
Right.
everybody behind, like, I don't
Yes.
know if I could do that, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Like, if I think about that and me now leaving to another country that I have no that I know absolutely nothing about, it is scary.
It
So,
is.
we
Yeah.
have to make it worth it for them and for ourselves.
So true. So, so true.
Mhm.
Andrea, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. I really appreciate you being so vulnerable and telling your story. And you're making a lot of us so proud. You're out
Thank
there
you.
doing it, pursuing your dreams, and challenging yourself every day to learn more. And it's so amazing. You
Thank
got
you.
this.
Thank you so much.
May is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I
I
can't
can already
wait.
see it
Yeah, I can't wait. And
with your
thank
cap
you.
and then your little tassel.
Thank you. Yeah, and
Yeah,
thank you for the vision, the courage, and for the space that you have made for all of us. So I'm really encouraged by you and by all of the other
yeah.
dreamers that are sharing their stories. And I hope that, others, other dreamers also feel encouraged to do this.
We are stronger together.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure. For
yeah. We
sure.
can do this, guys.
For
Yes.
sure.
Andrea, do you want to tell us about that Facebook group that you follow?
Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of want to follow it.
let me get on here quick.
So we can go ahead and let people know that way we
Yeah,
all stay updated.
it's DACA Dreamers to the number two
Immersed
together.
together. Okay.
Yeah, official. So
Official.
you'll have to request to join, and
Okay.
then once you get like they approve you, then you're in the group.
Okay.
Mhm.
So cool.
Yeah,
Thank you so much
of course.
again.
Thank you,
You're
Lupe.
amazing.
Thank
And don't
you.
get discouraged, girlie.
No,
You're
of
doing
course
amazing
not.
things. You're
Thank
doing
you.
amazing things.
Thank you so much, Lupe.
Yes. Yes. If you need anything, I'm here for you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of
Likewise.
course. Ah, thank you
Bye.
again.
Bye. Okay. Um, yeah, that's fine. Bye.